So what we have seen in last class is charge leakage. This is one of the problem in the dynamic CMOS logic circuits. I already told what is dynamic logic CMOS circuit is. Uh, it holds the output for certain amount of time. After that, the output changes. So the actual output, expected output will remain only for certain short period of time, and we have to use that output to give as input to the next pipeline the circuits. Otherwise, the output will change its state. If output changes its state, and if you use that output, then you will be getting wrong outputs in the logic. So that is the problem. So we'll just go through the summary of previous class for 2 3 minutes. Then we'll go with new topic. The summary of charge leakage is uh, charge leakage occurs when switching devices. I have taken three case studies here. One is NMOS transistor acting as a pass transistor. There is a switch. PMOS transistor as a pass transistor, or a transmission gate. Transmission gate is a combination of both NMOS and PMOS connected in parallel. So these three switching devices we have used to discuss the concept of charge leakage. And this charge leakage problem occurs only if these three switching devices, one of these three switching devices are operated in cutoff region. So that means the charge leakage is the current leakage current that flows when the device is cut off. Okay, so this charge leakage current is the reverse biased PN junction diode current almost. PN junction diode here is nothing but the substrate and the drain regions are acting like a PN junction device. So in case of NMOS, see, this is P type, this is N type. So this is a junction. So this leakage current flows from the capacitor to the ground through this reverse junction. So that's what we call it as a reverse leakage current. So this leakage current flows when this diode is reverse biased. When the diode will be reverse biased, if this device is switched off. Switched off means it should be operated in the cutoff. So when these three devices are operated in cutoff, then leakage current flows. That flow in the leakage current will change or alter the outputs. The charge leakage occurs when there exists an isolated storage node. So this capacitor, we call that as an isolated. Isolated means what? Disconnected. Disconnected or which is separated. So when this capacitor is disconnected from the actual circuit, if this transistor MN or MP or transmission gate, these any one of them are switched off. Off means they are just open circuit. Open circuit means this capacitor is like a floating capacitor, which is isolated storage node. The capacitor don't have any connection to its input or to any of the previous circuits. Okay, so therefore this switch is acting like an off switch, so that the capacitor is floating. That's why it is called as isolated storage node. So that storage node is nothing but a storage capacitor. So the storage capacitor earlier may be holding some charge in it. If it is holding, in case of this capacitor is holding initially Vmax. Now when this Vmax is holding, this transistor was on. When this transistor is changing its state to cut off, this capacitor is now isolated, and the leakage current flows from this capacitor to the ground through this junction. That means this capacitor is already having a voltage of Vmax. Now this Vmax decreases because this voltage, this charge is discharging through this path, then the voltage across the charge also decreases. So that is what is the concept. So that means due to charge leakage, the voltage which was stored in the capacitor decreases. Whereas in this case of PMOS, it will be initially when this transistor is on, the voltage stored on the capacitor is V minimum. When this transistor is off, it is isolated and the leakage current flows. In this case, the leakage current is in the opposite direction because This is at higher potential than this one. VDD is greater than V minimum. The current will be flowing from N region to P region in the opposite direction. So that means this charge is the charge in the capacitor is getting added. Here the charge is added. Here the charge is removed, decreased. Here the charge is increased. V minimum is actually low. When it is increasing, it is becoming high. V maximum is actually high. When it is decreasing, it is becoming low. High, low means logic levels. Initially, it was high when the transistor is on. Then it becomes low when the transistor is off. Why it is becoming low is because of the leakage current flowing in the transistor, and that leakage current will remove the voltage or charge from the capacitor. That will become high to low. And to make this high to low, it takes some time. Discharging will not happen instantaneously. It takes some time. How much time it takes to change its state from high to low is hold time. So it will remain high only till hold time. After the hold time is reached, then it will become low. That means till hold time, the actual output which is expected in this circuit remains good. After that, it will be changing its state. Similar is the case in this. Same thing, both concepts you have to apply here in the transmission gate logic circuit. So same explanation is written here. Initially Vmax, when the transistor is turned off, then I leakage flows. I leakage is nothing but minus I am writing because it is decreasing. Minus represents decreasing. Minus Cs into dVs by dt. Vs of t is Vmax minus I leak into t by Cs. At t is equal to Th, then Th will be this one. Similar is the case. Initially it is V minimum. Then when MP is cut off, leakage current flows. Leakage current flows into the capacitor. Therefore, positive sign plus Cs into dVs by dt, and this the voltage, as you keep on increasing the time, it is added to this leakage current is added to the voltage. Therefore, this increasing V minimum plus something you are getting. Whereas here you got V max minus something you are getting, because leakage current is coming out of the capacitor. Therefore, voltage decreases V max minus something. Whereas in case of PMOS, V minimum was there already. As the current is flowing into the capacitor, then the voltage keeps increasing. That's why it is plus. Then at t is equal to H, Vs of t is equal to V naught. V naught is the maximum low level voltage. V1 is the minimum high level voltage. If it crosses this V1, then it will be changing it into indeterminate level or low level, whatever. After this V0 also, it will enter into indeterminate level or logic high. So this is TH. Similarly, in case of charge leakage in transmission gate, it depends on whichever current is dominating. Here, two currents are flowing actually. One is IRP, other one is IRN. Whichever current is dominating, so I have taken the current direction in I leak this side, assuming that IRN is greater than IRP. If you take this side, then IRP will be greater than IRN. So which I have taken some directions here. I don't know whether it is out of the capacitor or inside the capacitor. This I leakage direction is either out of the capacitor or inside the capacitor. It depends upon out of these two currents, whichever is dominating. So IRP adds charge to the node, IRN removes charge from the node. I leakage is net flow of current. So I leakage is IRN minus IRP. So minus Cs into this one. So in dynamic logic circuit, the output holds its value only for a specified time. That is called as hold time. After the hold time, the output is no more the required output. It changes its state. For proper functioning of the circuit, the output is used before the hold time. The problem in dynamic circuits is called, this problem is called charge leakage problem. Okay, so this is one of the important problem in the dynamic logic circuits. So now we'll see the second problem, which we call it as charge sharing. Okay, another important problem that occurs in dynamic circuit is that of charge sharing. This occurs when the charge on an isolated capacitive node is used to drive another isolated capacitor. That means only one capacitor we have taken in the previous circuit. This is one capacitor. Now what I will do is I will connect one more transistor, pass transistor, and after the pass transistor, one more capacitor I will keep, so that this voltage stored in this isolated node is driving another isolated node through a pass transistor again. So two capacitors I will take. In between again there will be a pass transistor. Two capacitors C1 and C2 represent the parasitic contributions due to the physical structure of the transistors or devices. So these capacitors actually we did not physically keep in the circuits. We are not going to keep physically in the circuits. If you just take output of a CMOS inverter and connect it to the input of another CMOS inverter, in between those two CMOS inverters you will be having a capacitor. That capacitor is not an externally connected capacitor. It will be the internal capacitance which is acting like a load on the first stage. That means the gate capacitances of the second stage transistors will be acting as a load capacitance of the first stage transistor, first stage inverter. So that's why they are called as their parasitic contributions due to the physical structure of the MOSFETs. So that means we need not connect any external capacitors. We are just showing that there exists a capacitor. That the capacitor is actually the internal capacitance of the transistors. Transistor gate capacitance will be there. Transistor drain and source capacitances will be there. So those capacitors are represented physically to show the inherent behavior. So that's why they are called as parasitic capacitors. Okay. Now what we will do is initially here I will take this circuit diagram. See output of the inverter. I'm just putting again one pass transistor, NMOS, M1 and M2, both are NMOS transistors only here. One pass transistor I have kept, and after that one capacitor I have represented C1. Then one more pass transistor M2 is there. Then I have connected one more capacitor C2. So two stages are there here, C1 and C2. Both of these two C1 C2s are separated by the pass transistors. First is inverter, a pass transistor, then a capacitor, then again a pass transistor, then a capacitor. Now, in this initially NFET M1 is on and M2 is in cutoff. That means you see this first M1 is on, M2 is off. Off means this I have represented with dotted lines. So as if there is no transistor and capacitor, there is nothing. It stops up to here only, C1. So this is initial. Then what happens? I'll change the switching of these two transistors. I'll make M1 off, M2 is on. M1 of M2 is on. When this first stage is there, first initial charge distribution is there, M1 is on and M2 is off. When this M1 is on, the capacitor C1 is charged to V1. V1 is nothing but Vmax. Vmax is nothing but VDD minus VTN. Already we have seen in the previous concept, charge leakage concept. C1 is, it holds the maximum voltage here when this transistor M1 is on. Therefore, you will be getting this capacitor voltage across the first C1 capacitor voltage is Vmax. So what I can write is capacitor C1 charges to a voltage V1. When this is happening, when the NFET is on, M1 is on, then what happens? C1 charges to a voltage V1, which is Vmax, giving it to a total charge of QT. What is the total charge that it was stored in this capacitor when this transistor is on? Is Vmax. Voltage is charge is nothing but C1 into V1. C1 into V1, but V1 is nothing but Vmax. That means QT is equal to C1 into V1, but V1 is equal to Vmax. Therefore, I have written C1 into Vmax here. Initially, when this is happening, when M1 is on and M2 is off. M2 is off means we need not worry about what is M2, MC2 and all that will not come into picture. Only first initially C1 is storing some charge and its total charge is equal to C1 into V1. V1 means Vmax. That is initial charge distribution. Now next case what happens is, now already this V1 is stored to Vmax. Okay, even if you make this transistor M1 off, this V1 stored to Vmax will remain, the charge will remain here as it is. And now M2 is on and C2 will be again existing. M2 is on, C2. Now whatever the charge that is stored in C1, now what happens? It transfers to C2 through this on transistor. So that's what we call it as a charge sharing. Here the charge is stored into C1 first. Then what happens when this M2 is on and M1 is off, this becomes now isolated. This becomes isolated. Earlier, this capacitor was isolated. Isolated means initially it was 0. This is anyhow off. Therefore, nothing will happen in the C2. C2 is just isolated, which is holding 0 voltage. And C1 is not isolated. It is connected to the output of the CMOS inverter through the on switch. So this is not isolated initially. This is isolated. This is not isolated. Now this is isolated because it is not connected to the inverter. It is not even connected to this off transistor. So this is off. This is off. Everything is off. Means this is isolated. Now this is not isolated. This is now connected to the pass transistor and C1. So now what is happening? Already this C1 is earlier holding a voltage of V1 is equal to Vmax. Now this charge it has to share. There is a path existing to share its charge from C1 to C2 through this on transistor. Now whatever the charge that is there, it will be moving into the C2. Not completely. When both these voltages become same, V1 is Vf and V2. V2 was initially 0. V2 was initially 0 here. V1 was initially Vmax. Now Vmax will become Vf decreases and 0 will become Vf increases. So that means what this was Vmax, V0 is now becoming both are equal. Charge sharing means this whatever the Vmax voltage is there in the capacitor C1, V2 is having 0 volts. Then because of this transistor M2 is on, this Vmax voltage is shared with V2. So both will become equal, Vf through this on transistor. So how it happens is, let me just see. Suppose that the FETs are switched at the time t is equal to 0. So M1 is off now, M2 is on. Since there is a difference in voltage between the left and right sides of the transistors, drain current flows. Why it is happening? Because this voltage is different, this voltage is different, and this transistor is on. Therefore, the current flows, ID current flows. Current flows, therefore, this voltage is shared or charge is shared from C1 to C2, so that both the voltages will become same. Capacitors will not change. Capacitors may be different or equal or greater than C1 greater than C2, or C1 is equal to C2, or C1 is less than C2. Capacitors values will not change. What values of capacitors C1, C2 we have taken, it will remain same. The charge will be shared and voltages will be changing. So voltages both will become Vf and Vf. So there is a difference in voltage between the left and right sides of the transistor. Therefore, drain current ID flows in the direction shown. Direction of the current flow, drain current is always from higher potential to lower potential. The higher potential is in C1, lower potential is in C2. Therefore, the current is flowing from C1 node to C2 node. That means V1 to V2. Okay, now this removes the charge. Now what is happening? Vmax was the initial charge in capacitor C1. What is happening to that charge in C1? Decreasing. That's why it removes charge from C1 and adds it to C2. That means charge is removed from C1 and adding it into C2. That means both the capacitors are sharing the charge. So that the charge is shared between the two capacitors. Since the individual charges are given by individual charges, what happens? Actually Q1 is equal to C1 V1 and Q2 is equal to C2 V2. These are individual charges. But now V1 is becoming Vf, V2 is also becoming Vf after charge sharing. Initially it is Q1 is equal to C1 V1, Q2 is equal to C2 V2, but V1 and V2 both are equal to Vf. Therefore, we write this. We see that the current of C1 causes V1 to decrease while V2 increases. Eventually, the equilibrium is reached where the two capacitors have the same final voltage. Same voltage. So, suppose if you see, this is V1, this is V2. V1 initially was Vmax. V2 initially was 0. This was when M1 is on, M2 is off. Now when M1 is made off and M2 is made on, then this V1 decreases and reaches to VF. See, VF. And this output rises. V2 rises from 0 and it reaches again to VF. Now both are same voltages. That's what we call it is equilibrium. Initially Vmax on V1, 0 on V2, but when charge sharing taken place, now at equilibrium, both V1 is VF, V2 is also VF. At that time, once these two becomes voltages same, current will be 0. But in the previous case, current will be flowing. ID is flowing from capacitor C1 to capacitor C2. When current is flowing because of the voltage differences between V1 and V2. Now, when both voltages become same, equal potential, then current between those two will be 0. So this is at equilibrium, this is at initial value. Okay, now both voltages of the capacitors have become same and charges are shared among the two capacitors C1 and C2. Now the total charge in the network is now distributed according to, now total charge previously was, when it initially was Q2 is equal to first one is capacitor is C1 and V1. First one is V1. V1 is nothing but what? Vmax. So C1 Vmax initially. But what is the charge in the second capacitor? C2 V2. V2 is 0. Therefore, the capacitor, second capacitor was isolated. Therefore, the charge is also 0. So, in the first case, the second capacitor does not hold any charge because it is isolated. Only first, the total charge will be existing only in the first capacitor. So, this is initially. Q2 is equal to C1 V1 is equal to C1 Vmax. Here was equation number 1. Now, second, when the charge sharing taken place, after charge sharing. After charge sharing, what has happened? The total charge now is equal to the charge in the first capacitor plus charge in second capacitor. That is what is Q1 plus Q2. Q1 is now C1 VF. When voltages in both the capacitors are same. C1 VF plus C2 VF. Therefore, it has become C1 plus C2 into VF. This is second. Now, both are total charges equating 1 and 2. Then what happens equating 1 and 2? C1 Vmax is equal to C1 plus C2 into Vf. Then what will be the Vf? Vf is equal to C1 by C1 plus C2 into Vmax. Or you can write it the other way like this. Okay, by dividing the numerator and denominator by C1, you will get the other alternate, you will get like this. Now, by seeing this equation, by inspection, by observing, we will get Vf is less than Vmax. Vf is less than Vmax. It should be definitely, because Vmax is the voltage stored in the first capacitor. When second capacitor is switched on through a pass transistor, then the Vmax will come down and that capacitor is getting increased. Voltage across that second capacitor gets increased. So Vf is less than Vmax. Since the voltage difference between the two sides is 0, the current flow is also 0. So this is how we have calculated the Vf value. Vf value is equal to C1 by C1 plus C2 into Vmax. So how much is the voltage that after sharing, how much the voltage that both the capacitors will be having is Vf is equal to C1 by C1 plus C2 into Vmax. Okay. So that is one. Next, same circuit, we can do the RC equivalent. RC equivalent nothing but circuit, just pass transistor is replaced by its internal resistance and a switch. Just pass transistor is there right in between C1 and C2. That pass transistor is replaced by its equivalent. It's on resistance, on transistor. It is on means nothing but what? It is like a closed switch, open switch, closed switch. Initially it was off, then it will become on here. When this G is equal to 1, it is on. Initially it will be here off. When it is off, open switch. Open switch. Open switch means V1 is Vmax, V2 is 0. This is isolated. Isolated means not connected. It is open switch. this is capacitor is not connected to its previous network. So this is isolated. Therefore, it holds 0 voltage. No charge is present in this. Charge is here 0. Whereas in this case, charge to Qt is equal to C1 Vmax. Now, after charge sharing, this is on. Current flows like this. This was actually Vmax. Decreases to V0. This was actually 0 volts. Increases to Vf. The Vmax decreases to Vf. V0 increases to Vf. So both the capacitors will hold Vf, equal voltage. Then this on switch is there, right? This will be having internal resistance R. Here also resistance R is there, but it is open circuit means that is of no use. Here resistance is there R. So this is like a network, series network, C1, R1, C2, like a simple network with two nodes here. This is node 1, this is node 2. Node 1, node 2. So I is equal to V1 minus V2 by R. I can write I is equal to V1 minus V2 by R. Okay, so that's what is the analysis we have done here. I is equal to V1 minus V2 by R. Or separately the current in first capacitor, same current, it is a series network, right? So current is flowing in the resistor is this one, current flowing in the capacitor is this one, first capacitor C1 is this one, current flowing in the second capacitor C2 is this one. First capacitor I have taken minus sign because the current is coming out of the capacitor. Okay, from negative, it is coming out of positive sign of the capacitor, minus. It is going into the positive terminal of the capacitor. So this is plus. So this current is flowing in series. I is the current. In the resistor, it is V1 minus V2 by R. In the capacitor, it is minus C1 into dV1 by dt. In the second capacitor, it is plus. Current is entering into the positive terminal of the capacitor. So C2 into dV2 by dt. So this is current. Now I can write, I just want to add these two, dV1 by dt, take minus and minus common and add dV1 by dt minus dV2 by dt. Then these two capacitors will go to the denominator on the left hand side. Then it will become minus I by C1 plus I by C2. That is equal to I, if you take common in here, then minus I by 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 is 1 by C equivalent, because capacitors equivalent capacitance is here is C equivalent is equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. Okay, that is the one. Next, same thing we can write it like this: d v1 minus v2 by dt is equal to minus v1 minus v2 by tau. Tau is nothing but r into C equivalent. Okay, so I will be getting this v1 minus v2 by r into C equivalent here actually, but that r into C equivalent I can write it as tau. Now after simplifying, we will get the, after taking the integration and then taking the solution for differential equations. Solutions for differential equations, we'll get V1 and V2 like this. Okay, so this is just another way of considering the RC equivalent to calculate these voltages V1 of 2 and V2 of t, V2 of t, V1 of t, by taking the differential equations and finding out the solutions to those differential equations. Okay, next, now this is another thing. So now we have not considered till now the magnitudes of the capacitor. C1 equal to C2, C1 greater than C2, C1 less than C2, what these capacitor values are. Okay, now we'll take the case where C1 greater than C2. So actually, if you see this figure, Vmax is this one, 0. Exactly in the middle will be half Vmax. If C1 is equal to C2, both capacitors values are same. Maybe example 15 picofarads, 15 picofarads, or something. Both are equal. Now both are equal means you will get this the intermediate value will be half into it. So what happens is the V1 is the voltage across capacitor C1, which is holding its initial value as Vmax, and V2 is voltage across capacitor C2. If both C1 and C1 is equal to C2, both are equal, then this V2 value, V2 graph will be like this, and V1 graph will be like this. Okay, both are equal. C1 and C2 both are equal. So V1 decreases from Vmax to half Vmax. So your final voltage will be Vf is half Vmax when both capacitors are same. So V1 is decreasing and V2 is increasing, and both will be colliding at they will be reaching the voltages to a common value Vf at a Vmax by 2, half of that midpoint when C1 is equal to C2. When C1 is greater than C2, the C1 capacitor discharges to a value of Vf which is less small, but this capacitor C2 will increase to a large value Vf. So here it will be greater than Vf is greater than half of Vmax. One more case here we have to take the case where C1 is equal to C2 is Vf is equal to half of Vmax, exactly midpoint. But when C1 is greater than C2, midpoint here, C1 greater than C2, Vf is greater than half Vmax. Yeah. When C1 is less than C2, okay, C2, then it will be Vf is less than half Vmax. So like that, the value of Vf will be different, but both will be having same Vf. V1 will come to Vf, V2 will come to Vf. So like in this figure, this figure. So here Vmax will come to Vf, V2 will also come to Vf. So both will be coming to Vf. But we don't know whether this Vf, where it holds, whether it is here or here or here, where is the Vf value level. It can be exactly if it is C1 is equal to C2, Vf is equal to half of Vmax, midpoint exactly. If C1 is greater than C2, then Vf is greater than half Vmax. If C1 is less than C2, then Vf is less than half Vmax. So what this Vf level, whether it is here or here or here, where it is, that we will be getting only by seeing the magnitudes of the capacitors, C1, C2 capacitors. Okay, so that's what is showing these graphs. Okay. Now we'll take an example. Now numerical examples we'll take. Now C1 is greater than C2. So I have taken an example of C1 is 60 femtofarads, C2 is 15 femtofarads. Okay, C1 and C2 values are taken like this. Now, what is the initial value V1 of 0 is 4 volts, V2 of 0 is 0 volts. Okay, so we have already found out that the total initially total charge Qt is equal to how much? C1 into Vmax. This is nothing but 60 femtofarads into Vmax is nothing but what? Vmax is nothing but V1 only. That is 4 volts. V1 is equal to Vmax initially. But what is V1? 4 volts. So Vmax is 4 volts. So into 4 volts. 4 volts. What it will be? 60 into 4 will be 240. Okay, this will be charge, so it is femtocoulomb. Okay, 240 initially. Now finally, now first of all we have to find out what is Vf. What is the formula for Vf? Vf is equal to C1 by C1 plus C2 into Vmax. This is a formula which we have already derived in the previous slide. Vf is equal to C1 by C1 plus C2 into Vmax. Now you substitute the values of C1, 60 by 60 plus 15 into Vmax is here 4. This will become, how much is this? 3.2 volts. You will get it. 60 by 60 plus 15 into 4 will be 3.2. volts. Now again you calculate final Qt is equal to what is that C1 plus C2 into Vf. This is final charge after charge sharing. That is equal to 60 plus 15 into final value is 3.2. 75 into 3.2. 75 into 3.2 is again. Okay. So that means what it is showing you is whatever that charge that is present after before charge sharing and after charge sharing will be same. So the total charge will be same. That means I am taking only the charge in C1 capacitor is 240 femtofarads before charge sharing. After the charge is shared in both the capacitors, that is C1 VF plus C2 VF, then the total charge again if you add, you are getting 240 femtofarads. That means the charge is not created, not destroyed. It is just transferred from one capacitor to another capacitor, or it is distributed in both the capacitors equally or unequally, whatever it may be. Because it is not I cannot say it equally because first capacitor is C1 VF, second capacitor is C2 VF. First capacitor is 60 into 3.2, second capacitor is 15 into 3.2. So charge is maybe different because of the capacitor values are different. Charge may be different, but it is shared either equally or unequally. Equally, it will share if both capacitor values are same. If C1 is greater than C2, more charge will be there in the first capacitor, less will be there in second capacitor, or vice versa. So that, but the total charge before charge sharing and the total charge after charge sharing will be same. That's what we got it here, 240 and 240. Okay, so charge is this 240 is only existing in C1 capacitor. This 240 is shared in both C1 and C2 capacitors. Okay, after charge sharing. So that is what is the concept of charge sharing. Now, this is for C1 greater than C2. Next, we'll see C1 less than C2. C1 less than C2 again, the initial charge, initially, Qt is equal to C1 into Vmax. Here C1 is 15, C2 is 60. I just interchange the capacitor values because C1 is less than C2. Now I'll take this C1 is 15 femtofarads into Vmax is 4 volts. Vmax is remaining same. Vmax is V1. 15 into 4, that is 60 femtofarads. Is Qt. Now this now after charge sharing, what will be the final voltage in both the capacitors? Vf is equal to C1 by C1 plus C2 into Vmax, that is nothing but C1 is 15 by 15 plus 60 into Vmax. Vmax is 4. So what you will be getting here, 15 by 15 plus 16 to 4, you will be getting it as 0.8 volts Vf. Now finally, after charge sharing, Qt will be C1 plus C2 into Vf. That is equal to 15 plus 60 into 0.8. That will become 60 femtocoulomb. Okay, see again, this 60 femtocoulomb is there only in C1 capacitor alone. After charge sharing, this case 60 femtofarads is both existing in C1 and C2. Okay, total charge remains same. Okay, that is what is C1 less than C2. Now this is only we have taken two capacitors. So here now we'll see charge sharing in multiple capacitors. How the multiple capacitors will be. Now what actually we are getting from this concept is the voltage. See here at this node, the voltage is how much initially when this is off, when this is off. this voltage here is 4 volts. 4 volt. 4 volts means what we can consider it as logic 1. Logic 1, right? Now, because of this pass transistor, after the pass transistor, there is again existing a capacitor. Now, what is happening here after this pass transistor? This voltage is this charge is shared in both. Then this has become zero point 0.8 volts. This has become 0.8 volts. Because I have connected extra one pass transistor and capacitor, this voltage at this node has fallen down from 4 volts to 0.8 volts because of this extra network. Because this capacitor is loaded with extra network. So 4 volts is logic 1, zero point 0.8 means logic 0. Actually, you are expected here the output is logic 1. Because of this loading effect, it has become now logic 0. I am expecting the output to be 1, but I got the output to be 0 because of this extra network. So that means the logic 1 has changed to logic 0. It will give erroneous result. It is not expected. I require output voltage here to be 1, logic 1, but I am getting the output voltage here as logic 0. If I take this logic 0 and apply it to somewhere, then I will not be getting the exact outputs, erroneous outputs will be getting. So that means the nodes are internally changing its states, which is required to be existing, which is required to be expected. It is not remaining the same. It is changing its states because of the problem of charge sharing. So this is also one of the problem in the, as long as this charge sharing can't happen, this is fine. 4 volts is logic 1 is fine. But once this charge sharing concept has come into picture, this logic 1 is becoming logic 0, then if we take after charge sharing, charge distribution was done, if you take that output and use, you will get wrong results. Before this charge sharing, charge distribution was done, one logic 1 was there. That is what is actually required. But if you take after charge sharing, then it will be giving wrong results. So that is a problem in the dynamic circuits. This is also time dependent again. So we have to only immediately take the output before this got distributed to other nodes. So multiple capacitors, if you see here, capacitor C1, all these are initially off. All V2, V3, V4 are capacitor C2, C3, C4 all are isolated. Initially, the total charge will be C1 V max. closing it. Okay, I got it. No, 1 minute. Hello. There was a problem with Wi-Fi. So, but anyhow, class was over. One.